All right, we are live, aren't we?
We are live. That is
Sweet.
correct.
Welcome BDSM fans, and I'm talking about booze, desserts, smoking meats, not that stuff where you get whipped. I am Professor Porkloin, and I'm here with my co-host.
The Meat Viking.
And Meat Biking, we are continuing our journey with Maine, part 2 today. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we have some things to chat about because there was a lot of foods that we had in the last episode, and I feel like there's still a lot that we're going to talk about. So it is a two-parter for this time, and I think some of it is because we both have been to Maine. We kind of have an idea of what really is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to jump right into it, or do you want to get some cups, or what are we doing for this one?
Oh, geez. I think we just jump right into this one.
All right.
So, we do need a safe word yet. Um,
Yeah.
and because my brain is functioning at like internet speeds from the 90s, I will say that the safe word for today's episode is cups. So, because in between you saying cups and then our off-screen conversation about Squid Game, yeah, like that's where my mind's at today.
Okay, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's pick up with what we were talking about last. Didn't we talk about the drinks last time? Weren't we talking about Moxie?
We did
Wasn't that
talk
the
about
last thing
Moxie.
we finished up with?
Yeah.
So there's a thing that I want to talk about too with Maine, and apparently there's a couple foods that are specifically in Maine that people actually forage for. So we mentioned blueberries before,
Mm-hmm.
and the maple syrup and all that. But there are some things that people eat that they can forage for, and it's only within a season. The first one is a fiddlehead.
Okay.
So a fiddlehead is a fern. It's a young fern that's still rolled up, and they're wild and they grow near bodies of fresh water. And because they're wild, a lot of people forage them, and it has a short season, so it only lasts about 5 weeks ish from April to early June. And yeah, they cook those bad boys up and then eat them.
Hmm.
I don't know how nature vegan I want to get, and I have never had them, but I don't know if I think I would try it if it was on the menu, but I don't think I would go out and forage for that stuff.
Well, it depends. Like if you forage in your pastime and you come across something that's tasty, then why not? That's my
Yeah.
opinion on the matter.
I mean, like I said, if it was on a menu and it was like, oh yeah, we have these fiddleheads, then I've been like, all right, I'll give them a shot. They're probably doused in butter, probably doused in some shit to make them taste better.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one is rams. So these are wild leeks,
Okay.
and just like fiddleheads, they're only grown in the wild. So they're being foraged, and so it kind of coincides with that fiddlehead season, where the peak is actually in May. So they kind of do a hand in hand thing of those. And I mean, leeks aren't that bad. I've had leeks before. Have you?
Yes.
So I think that would be interesting to see that on a menu. See like a ramp fiddlehead side for whatever dish that you're gonna have.
Mm-hmm. So I stumbled across something known as beanhole beans.
Oh gosh.
So, living up to its moniker as the Pine Tree State, Maine has a rich history of logging. Uh, Basically, before gaining statehood in 1820, Maine was part of Massachusetts territory and supplied pines for ships mashed in England's navy. By 1830, Bangor was the largest lumber shipping port, and in winter, when frozen waterways made for easy timber transport, Maine's woods became filled with logging camps. Well, all these loggers needed to eat, and one of the simplest and heartiest meals for camp owners was beanhole beans. So what you do is you cook this in a cast iron pot over a hotbed of coals in a stone-lined pit covered in soil Usually they cover this overnight. And then turns out the logging industry adapted this practice from Native Americans who prepared beans with bear grease and maple syrup in subterranean deerskin covered clay pots.
Okay.
So, very common food found in the lumber, and its main ingredients were dried beads, usually heirlooms such as yellow eye molasses, which is molasses is a sugary substance, um, and pork and bacon, like, and it's kind of like what it reminds me of.
What's that?
You ever get baked beans while you're at like a barbecue place, and they usually have chunks of bacon in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, think of that except for in complete like strips of bacon, like entire strips of bacon.
Well, that sounds pretty good though.
Yeah. And then the other thing I had ran across, because we've already talked about lobster rolls
Hey, but
and
before you
chowder.
before you before you find yours though, I actually found out it goes pretty similar to what you just said.
Okay.
So they actually have bean suppers,
Ooh.
and it's basically like the counterpart. You know how fire departments and shit like that, they always have like breakfast fundraisers, and you come in. There's one actually where I grew up. Every so many weeks they would do like a breakfast fundraiser where you go in, spend the $10. You can eat as much as you want, but they would have eggs, pancakes, shit like that. Do they have you ever been to one of those before? Like, or the closest thing is like a spaghetti dinner. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've been to those.
Yeah, so they do bean suppers.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, some of these can be fundraisers as well, but it's essentially open up to the public, and a lot of them are served in churches or community centers. And basically, they just have beans, and it could vary to where there is bacon in it, and you kind of have those big ass slabs of bacon. But there's ones where they have ham. They have ones with hot dogs. So I guess it depends on who's running it.
Hmm.
All of those sound worthy enough to eat anyway, especially with some beans.
Oh yeah.
But they usually have sides too, where you have like coleslaw, or they'll do like a homemade pie or brown bread or something like that. So I
Mm.
just found that interesting that the logging company is doing this stuff, and they make it their own way, but then they have a whole entire thing just devoted to bean suppers, kind of like the pancake breakfast stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And actually thinking this leads really well into each other of pancakes and breakfast stuff. There's a thing called ploys, Ployes, and this comes back from the French roots that are pretty huge in Maine. If you remember us talking about that, um, looks like when Britain conquered Canada in the mid 1700s, French Acadians fled into the unsettled forest land of northern Maine around the St. John Valley River. They bought their language, crops, and food, including the ploys. And these are essentially spongy crepes that are made out of buckwheat flour, water, and a little bit of salt. Super simple but versatile. They can be used with sweetened with fruit, cream, and maple syrup, or dipped in hearty stews instead of using bread for sandwiches, or you can just eat them plain. Um, Sometimes they're topped with cretins, which is a fork Acadian or a French Acadian pork spread similar to pate. Not sure what either of those are. Um, but Maine was apparently once the breadbasket of America, according to Lind Garden, until westward expansion brought grain production to the vast Midwest. And it turns out that this has been around since like the 1700s, and it almost began to die because in the early 1970s, um, Poile was coming a thing of the past. Owner of one of the farms said that no one was growing buckwheat anymore, and you can't have pole without buckwheat. So they kind of came up because they are a gluten-free trend. And so after 2003, they kind of started getting more and more popular with people who were on a gluten-free diet. So that's kind of an interesting little thing with you have like your little tinier crepes breakfast.
Okay.
So
Well, this kind of leads into the next one then, which is, kind of similar with the
hold
bread,
on,
but
hold
they
on,
have
hold on, hold on.
what?
So the website I was on was playing an ad, and I couldn't hear you at all.
No.
Yeah,
Well, can you hear me now?
yeah, I can.
All right.
So that was weird. Sorry about that.
Well, so this actually goes into the next thing with the whole entire grain. We've been following that line there, but there's shit in Maine that apparently is called brown bread, and this bread is bread in a can.
Hmm.
When I think of like bread in a can, or when I think of shit like that, I think of like, oh, this is Spaceballs, the movie, Spaceballs, the TV show, like Spaceball. Like someone probably just like, you know what? We got all this shit here. Let's just put this in a can and see what happens.
Exactly.
Um, I've never had it. I don't think I even remember seeing it in any stores, or any of my family that have been in the New England, Maine area have never mentioned, bread in a can. But I guess people do it themselves. But typically, store bought bread is the version that tastes the best. And the difference that what they do is you don't bake it, so it's not like you throw it in the oven and it looks like a busted can of biscuits. They steam it. So I guess you put it in some water and just basically let it do its thing. And I guess it's a sweet, moist type style cake that has some raisins in it, and that most grocery stores have it. So you Mainers are kind of weird with that. I feel like that's kind of something that maybe like it only runs you 50 cents or $1, and it's for like
Uh,
cheap, poor shit.
you know, like I'm gonna pull this up here because it doesn't look not tasty. It kind of. I can't unsee this now. God damn it! I have to screen share this to see if you see what I see.
Do you see what I see? That looks like a wiener.
Yep.
Right off the bat, definitely looks like a big old Johnson with the tip and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully YouTube doesn't take this down. We'll move to a more a family friendly approach here.
Nah, YouTube ain't gonna take that down, man, because it's bread. It looks phallic, but it's not. It doesn't have the balls.
Right? It doesn't have so yeah, this is Boston brown bread. And like I said, you cut it up, it doesn't look terrible. Like
Yeah, you know what? It's probably not that bad, but you imagine like steaming this shit, and then the next thing you see is basically the tip of a wiener coming out, and it's even
yeah.
cut right in the middle of that. Like, people are gonna be like, "Nah, man, I ain't putting that in my mouth."
Oh yeah, for sure.
There
For
for
sure.
the BDSM people. There's your BDSM stuff. You're
Yep.
you're looking at a phallic bread.
Yep. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the can. So
I wonder what that other picture was.
they probably just it's from Martha Stewart. So
You know what? It's probably Martha Stewart wound up just putting it in a can, and it just happened to bake that way. Where I feel like the other ones, they're kind of in the can, and then when you steam it, you cut it open, and then there it is. Because like,
yeah.
look at that one right there. Where yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yep, like that looks like fucking dog food.
Yeah. like I said though, like this doesn't look near as weird as what I thought it would be. Because like I don't know why, but I pictured this being like sunk in like a syrupy preserve to be like not go bad while it's in the can.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is, unless the preserve kind of burns off while it's in the can. So, or while you're steaming it.
It might.
So, but yeah,
It looks well, yeah.
it looks like bread, circle bread.
Well, that one that's right there now looks like dog food, but the other
That one
ones look
does.
like bread.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, yeah,
See, that looks more, yeah, that looks closer.
yeah, like bread, bread.
I'd probably still eat it though.
Yeah. So if you guys have had looks like the popular brand here is B&M brown bread, either in raisin or original. Let us know if you how you feel about it. And we're gonna stop the screen share right there.
Yeah. So I think this kind of goes again right into the next thing because it's not bread, but it's a cake. And I know I've had this, not even in Maine. I've had them outside of Maine, and I'm sure you probably have too. But you remember having whoopie pies, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I actually I do enjoy me a whoopie pie.
so do you have? All right, question then. What's your favorite flavor of it then?
It depends, because are we going with like the kind that I can buy where I'm at, which are
Yeah, sure,
commonly
do
referred
it.
to as moon pies?
Well, I think moon pies are different. I think
The,
moon pies have um the chocolate on top of it, don't they?
yeah, they do have like a layer of chocolate, whereas these don't. But that's the closest thing that I could technically get. You know what I'm saying? To a whoopie pie.
Yeah. I have made some of these previously, and then I've also eaten them in the Northeast too. So I totally get where you're coming from with the moon pie,
Mm-hmm.
but I think if you really want it to be even closer, and you'd probably have to look at an oatmeal cream pie. That would probably be your even more closer side of what a whoopie pie is.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I like having chocolate. I mean, I'm just a chocolate dude anyway. So having the chocolate cake essentially, and then having the vanilla frosting right in the middle, that's where I'm gonna go 100%.
You know, I can see that. I'm not gonna say that you're wrong, but for me, I do enjoy me the oh my god, the banana one. I enjoy the banana moon pie.
Okay. I feel like banana stuff is too artificial,
That's fair. I
especially
will
with
say
that style stuff.
the close contender though would be the red velvet one.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and
I
also we have a cups alert.
okay. What's the cups?
There is because I was googling moon pies while we were talking about whoopie pies to pull up some images to like do an image compare, and I found from Naked River Brewing Company out of Tennessee, which we're going to talk about them later when we get to Tennessee because they have a moon pie stout.
Oh, okay.
And I just wanted everybody to know because this stout is brewed with 100% fresh baked moon pies in collaboration with the moon pie.
That's dope.
So, yeah. But,
Well, in Tennessee, when we get to that state, man, you have that all on lockdown.
yep. So I am actually going to make a side note of that for a later episode.
You know what? I wonder if you can even find that and buy it.
From where I'm at, it's not that far. I might actually just road trip that shit.
I would see if you can get it first.
It said it was available.
Okay.
So
Well, either way, looking at Whoopie Pies, totally 100% awesome dessert. The only thing that I remember with Whoopie Pies is that sometimes the cake would get like all fuckered up, and you take a bite out of it, and then you'd have cake all over your fingers.
yeah, that is always a weird feel.
It's like shit. I'm trying to remember what the hell those things are from Drake's. It's man, I used to love those things as a kid. Devil dogs. Do you remember those things?
Hold on, devil dogs?
Yeah, devil dog. So think of a whoopie pie, right, where it's circular,
Uh-huh.
okay, and it's got two pieces of cake and it's got the vanilla frosting in the middle. Well, a devil dog is it almost looks like a hot dog bun. I mean, obviously smaller, but then what they do is they put the cream in the middle, and there you go.
Oh, that's not too bad then. That sounds pretty good.
Dude, they're awesome. I haven't had one of those things in forever. I might have to go on a mission to see if I can find one of those. But anyway, there were times when you would eat those and you would get the cake on your fingers. And I feel like whoopie pies was the same thing where, you take a bite out of it, you're like, oh, this tastes really good. And then you look at your fingers and just get cake all over them.
Hmm. Yeah, I would try that for sure.
I think it's Drake, right? Is it Drake's that makes that? Or is it Hostess?
Probably Hostess.
One of those. But so there's another cousin to this whoopie pie, and I feel like it's also a big thing in Maine too. Now I haven't been to the baseball circuit up that way, but if you go to um, Shane's of Maine
Mm-hmm.
ice cream, and it's served at the baseball games, it's called a Sea Dog Biscuit. So
Oh,
I feel like it's got an awesome name to it because the team is the Sea Dogs. Okay, so this is up in Portland, and you know what a sea dog is referred to, right?
well, I'm gonna assume it's a sailor.
Yeah, either a seasoned sailor, someone who's been around the sea for a while, or a seal.
Yeah. So, fun fact, when you told me about devil dogs, my first instinct was to think of United States Marines.
Okay.
And so I had a hard time picturing what the devil dogs were. And they were made by Drake's. However, the other comparison that you would think of would be, I think Susie Q. Hold on. What did they call him from Hostess?
I don't think it's Susie Q's, but it might be. I thought Susie Q's were chocolate. They're kind of like the yodels. You remember those?
Nah, here I'll screen share again. Yeah, these are the Susie Q's. They just
Oh
thick.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so like they've got more cake, and then we go to the
The devil dogs.
oh, which right here is thinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you just do put in devil dogs, like the second search in Google is Marines, just so you know.
Well,
No,
yeah.
I'm not the only one on that one. So
Well,
back to this
yeah,
water dog,
the sea dog
sea
biscuit.
dog biscuit.
So it's basically you take two chocolate chip cookies and then you throw vanilla ice cream in the middle. So kind of like an ice cream sandwich if you think about it, but with chocolate chip cookies.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm.
So I feel like if you've had that somewhere in the world, you've probably had it where it is in Maine. You know, I don't think like that's going to be any different.
No, yeah, that's actually like, yeah, that's relatively um same. Ice cream sandwich is an ice cream sandwich. This is just chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
So it's like, so if you have a Neapolitan ice cream sandwich and for whatever reason they reverse the flavorings on you, is it still a Neapolitan ice cream sandwich?
Man, I watched the whole thing about freaking him, and they didn't once mention his ice cream.
Right? Rude.
People don't know the difference between Napoleon and Neapolitan.
Hey, no, like I got the reference right there.
I know you did. That was great.
So,
Hey, I want you to look up Needham candles. So Needham candies. I guess this is another thing that's in Maine as well. So they're chocolate filled, but I want to know if they really are filled with mashed potato and coconut.
yeah, according to TBSP, it
Really?
it
Ugh.
yeah, that's what the internet says, and anybody knows the internet's never wrong.
Ugh. Why the hell did someone think that they're gonna put mashed potato and coconut?
Oh, I don't think it's. Now, hear me out on this.
I wonder if it's like marshmallow.
Yeah, because like that that looks like marshmallow or coconut right there, right?
Okay.
And then it's 2 cups of powdered confectioner sugar, quarter cup smooth plain mashed potatoes, tablespoon of unsalted butter, teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, pinch of salt, 3/4 cup of sweetened coconut, 1 pound of bittersweet baking chocolate squares, and 1.5 tablespoons of vegetable shortening.
So there is
So
mashed potatoes in it. That's fucking gross.
there is mashed potatoes. However, I'm gonna throw out on a limb here and be like, it's for a texture thing.
Fuck the texture thing. I mean, I wonder what crazy person was like, you know what? I got these mashed potatoes and I have this chocolate and I need to make
Look,
something with them.
all right. So hear me out on this. In the measurements checkout, okay? You have 1/4 cup of plain mashed potatoes, right? 3/4 cup of sweetened shredded coconut. So I'm thinking they didn't have the full cup of coconut here. And so they improvised with this 1/4 cup of mashed potatoes. And they're like, this is for the kids. They won't know. And we have all these potatoes to eat. And it turned out to be a hit. And I'm gonna stand on that one and say that's what had happened was.
That's the hill you'll die on, huh?
Yep. Yep.
But you know what? I'm still saying fucking weirdos.
Fucking weirdos. So
I
I
guess
don't
you put
know.
any
I
I
would
guess you
try it.
cover anything in chocolate, it tastes better, but you
Yeah.
know, still chocolate covered shit is still chocolate covered shit.
Right.
Nasty.
Yep.
No. But you know what? My dumb ass would probably be like, "Oh, look, here's some candies there," and I'd probably eat it because there's vanilla in it too, right? Like, so. Although I'm not a big coconut fan, so I'd probably eat it and just be like, "Oh, it tastes like coconut," and then someone would be like, "Dude, you're eating mashed potatoes," and be like, "Blah, you fucker."
Well, see, like, dude, I like me some mashed potatoes. So, like, I don't understand. I don't know. I would try
Maybe,
it.
maybe it's just the sweet and savory thing.
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
So, um, one of the other things I picked up too that I feel like would probably be good is Maine is known for this coffee flavored brandy. It's Allen's coffee flavored brandy, and it's the number one selling spirit. And that's kind of crazy.
I mean, Maine is cold as hell. Uh,
Oh
so
yeah,
if
my
you
my
can do,
uncle lived up there for a couple years, and he was like, yeah, there are times when it didn't get above like 0 degrees for a very long time.
yeah.
But I guess it's popular with fishermen because they just throw it in their coffee, and it'd warm them up anyway. So you figure just get a little buzz on while you're on that ship, and you won't have to worry about feeling your toes.
Right. I'm with that, man. I'm really with that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, freaking coffee flavored brandy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And do you have any other things to add? Because I think I'm about out of.
I got one more thing, and this kind of goes along with what we've been talking about, listeners, for the whole entire like Midwest thing. So if you go back and you kind of listen to us ramble on about how some of the dinners are kind of bland and whatever, but New England is known for some of this stuff too, and I guess it's really good in Maine, but it's a New England boiled dinner.
Okay.
And they basically throw everything into a pot. So it consists of corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, and carrots.
Mm,
And they just throw it all in there and just let it cook up. And there you go. That's basically what the boiled dinner is. And I feel like you'd have to season the shit out of that. Like I like cabbage, I like potatoes, carrots, and it's fine. But I feel like you'd have to put a lot of pepper, a lot of salt, some garlic, onion powder, maybe even throw a little bit of some crushed red pepper in it to give it a little bit of some kick.
hmm.
I guess a lot of people eat it for St. Patrick's Day, and it's probably like something. Oh, we're gonna get good luck for eating all this stuff, and there's some superstition behind all of it. But yeah, it kind of goes back to some of those other things where I guess people didn't have a whole lot, and they were just like, yeah, let's just dump it all into a spot and let's see how it comes out.
Mm-hmm. So I do have one thing that we need to end on.
Okay.
Um, because we have talked about it in the previous session where it's moose.
Okay. Yeah, is pretty big up that way. Now I don't know if people really eat it though. Can they?
A law was passed in the 1850s preventing restaurants from to serve wild game meats. So if you're a tourist, you probably aren't going to be able to try it. However, in Maine, you can enter if you are like a resident of Maine, you can enter a lottery for a moose hunting permit, and then that's how you could get the meat that way.
Yeah, I can see that because I'm sure that they probably, like deer, it's got to have population control and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see that. I
So
wonder how moose tastes then. Like, does it taste more like deer? Does it taste more like horse? Like,
I've
what do you
had
think?
I've had caribou before, so I'm gonna assume it tastes similar to caribou.
Okay.
They describe it as being similar to beef with only a slightly gamier texture.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, um, it is one of the meats that will essentially taste like what it eats, which is why, like things like hog, you don't really want to eat wild hog because they eat trash all the time, so they don't taste as good. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, moose can have a strong gamey taste depending on its habitat, but for the most part, rich and earthy, very similar to beef. Um, virtually fat free. You're looking at about 1 gram of fat per serving, less than half of which is saturated fats.
Dude, you
But
could probably get a bunch of meat off of one of those things.
yeah.
I mean, those things are fucking huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So if we look here, if this website will pull up, so moose is low in sodium, high in potassium, which, if any of you are at risk of like heart, kidney disease, super important to have high potassium and as essentially low sodium as possible. Moose is extremely protein packed. You're looking at around 100 calories per 100 gram serving, jam packed with protein at around 22 grams per serving. So, with you as a power lifter, you know the importance of big protein.
Oh yeah.
Um, Apparently, it's loaded with other vitamins, minerals. Um, 3.5 milligrams of iron, 150 milligrams of phosphorus, 5.3 micrograms of vitamin B12, 4.5 milligrams of niacin, which is vitamin B3, and contains many essential amino acids that your body needs. And like we had mentioned earlier, it is virtually fat free with only 1 gram of fat per serving and less than half of that being saturated fats, which is the fat that is bad for you and raises your LDL cholesterol levels.
Yeah. Well, if you're only eating it very often, so often,
Well,
you
that's
don't
what
have
I'm
to worry
saying.
about
Like,
that.
if you're looking at a 100-gram serving and only 0.5 of that being from saturated fats compared to like beef,
Yeah, I think it'd be all right.
yeah. Where it has 5 grams of saturated fat for a 3-ounce serving. So if you look at
Okay.
100 grams, you're looking at 6 grams of an 85/15. So you, without a doubt, moose is the healthier long-term option. But can't get it, you can't get it. That's just how it be.
Just how it is. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
yeah, I think that's. I don't think there's anything else we got going on, right?
no, I actually don't think so.
All right. Well, this has actually been pretty good for a two-parter.
Mm-hmm. I look forward to our next state, which is Massachusetts, right?
I don't know. I'm gonna go with you on that one.
Eh, or did we fuck up? No, no, it would be Maine, then probably Massachusetts. No, let's to the
M
alphabet.
MAI, right? So MA what S or is
Yeah.
it L?
Hold on. Maryland is next, then Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana. So we're gonna be in inland for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, Maryland should be good. I've been there a few times too.
Nice.
Nice.
So, well,
All right, foodies.
it's
Uh,
been a good one.
yeah, look for us into the next one when we talk about Maryland and probably some blue crab.
Bop, 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 bop. So I've been your host, the Meat Viking, followed with my wonderful co-host,
Professor Porkline.
and
We are
y'all have a
signing
great
out.
day.